Welcome to Walked Into a Bar. This is the show where three brothers get to hang out and chat. We live a long way away from each other, so we really dig this. But the three of us are professionals. My name's Phil. I'm a lawyer. Matt, who is not here right now, is an engineer. And Ben is the youngest brother. He's a pastor. And today we have a special guest with us, my friend Chancey Marshall, who is like a brother to us, but unfortunately is not family. You might remember him. Yep.
Yeah.
You might remember him from our second episode, I believe it was, where Chancey was a special guest with us. And he's filling in for Matt because Matt is recovering from a small medical procedure. And he'll be back with us hopefully next week.
He's no longer a man.
Well,
I'm not as good as he is, but that's okay.
We shouldn't go there. Chancey, you're right. You're not as good as he is. You're better. I know. Sorry, Matt. But anyway, welcome to the show. We hope you guys enjoy it. And let's get right into things. So you may notice behind me an airplane model because I am a nerd. I build airplane models. I have a fascination with aviation, especially military aviation.
Before you get into the nerdy stuff, Phil,
I was on a roll. I was on a roll.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It was bad.
You're killing me,
It was
Smalls.
really bad. I want to just point something out. We have a lawyer, a computer technician, and a pastor, and they walk into a bar. It still sounds like a bad joke.
Still sounds like a bad joke.
It sounds worse.
Which is why you should never say it again. I tell you what. Anyway.
I'm more nerdy, Phil. I've got all these computer games for a Commodore 64 and 128 behind me. So,
Mr. Marshall, are those 5 1/4 floppy disks?
They most certainly are.
Maybe you should pull one out so our younger viewers understand what a 5 1/4 floppy disk is.
I'm more nerdy. I have books next to me.
Oh, let's not get started on the library.
Did you not see the library?
Well, no, hold on. I have a book called Communicating for a Change.
Oh, that doesn't. You got to pull it out of the wrapper, Chancey. Pull it out of the wrapper.
Pull it out of the wrapper.
I understand. Kids, that's a 5 1/4 floppy and floppy disk drive, and that is what we used when I was your age.
When I was
to play video games.
Phil was older.
And it took like 20 of them to hold a small video game. It was crazy. Anyway,
more like 5.
Before I was so rudely interrupted by my brother.
You're right. You were rudely interrupted.
Military aviation. And the sweet spot for military aviation was World War II, obviously. Just so much going on, so much tragedy in the air, and so much valiant fighting by men on both sides of the conflict. And one of the greatest stories that came out of World War II was the story of the 8th Air Force bomber pilots. Who flew from England and bombed targets in German-occupied Europe, trying to devastate the Nazi regime. And there's been a great portrayal of that in the movie Memphis Belle. Now, I'll say it's a great portrayal. I won't say it's an accurate portrayal, but it is a great movie. I think it's a good watch. And so the movie for today is Memphis Belle.
When was that produced, Phil?
You would ask a specific date. It was, about 90.
Chancey, I didn't ask you.
Oh, we're not doing trivia this week, are we? Come on.
No. We should be, but no.
We should. You're right, we should. Yeah, 1990. The Memphis Belle is a story of a bomber crew who flew a Boeing B-17, and they were on their 25th mission, which at the time that the movie is set to take place would have been the number of missions you had to successfully complete before your tour of duty was done and you could go home. And this is the story of that.
How many did you say you had to complete?
25
at this time.
Okay. I wasn't paying attention.
And the Memphis Belle is the first crew to complete their 25 flights for their tour of duty.
Well, we can get into some factual disputes here. Ben, first of all, I'd like to say you not paying attention. I talked to some of your teachers from high school, and they said, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah,
anyway, the Memphis Belle was,
they were
in fact,
boring.
It was the first. It was supposed to be the first crew that finished their 25 missions tour of duty and went home. There's some debate among scholarly circles whether that is actually the case or not. The Memphis Belle was, in fact, a real B-17 bomber, and it was memorialized as the first bomber to finish its 25 missions. Its crew finished its 25 missions and go home. And the Memphis Belle is currently restored and residing in the United States Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. So you can actually go and see the real Memphis Belle. Mm-hmm. This movie is not about the real Memphis Belle. What's interesting is some of the filmmakers in World War II did actually go on the final mission of the Memphis Belle, and they filmed that final mission. and came back, and a small movie was made about it. It wasn't a movie like we think of it. It was more of a documentary. And that's available on Amazon Prime for free last time I checked. So I'd encourage you all to go check it out. This is a characterization of that, produced in the 1990s, I believe 1990, as Chancey said. And it stars some pretty famous actors. John Lithgow is in it. Little known fact, Sean Astin is in the movie.
Rudy, yeah.
That's
Rudy.
right. That's right. Rudy was one of his good roles, but not as good as what is his name in this movie? I can never remember.
No, I thought
Rascal.
I thought Rudy was a better
but
role.
still not as good as his role as Samwise Gamgee in Lord of the Rings. And then also Harry Connick Jr., the crooner, plays a role in this movie as well.
Wasn't this his first big hit?
I think this may have been his first actual silver screen appearance. I could be wrong about that. But he does show off the pipes and sings quite a bit in the movie. It's a great flick. I encourage you to go watch it if you haven't. So when we talk a little bit about the movie, who wants to go first? Ben? Chancey? Chancey.
I just love the movie. Planes are great.
Yeah.
I like the older planes. It is a wonder how little fuel fighter jets carry, and so they're not there to support them very much. So they show up and they kind of take off.
Yep.
I did rewatch it here 2 nights ago, and I have to say, just how many aces did we have in bomber crews? Because flying 25 missions in hostile territory, how many 109s did those guys shut down?
Well, again, the movie's a caricature of what actually happened, so I don't think you can quite take that into account. I'm not aware of any bomber gunners becoming aces in World War II.
It was just a question that I thought about when thinking about that many missions and that contested airspace.
There were, if you look at the real Memphis Belle, you'll notice that some gun positions had multiple kills. They had, I think, several of them, 1 or 2 of them for sure, maybe 3 had two kills per position, and those swastikas are painted on the Memphis Belle as kill markings. So,
wow. I appreciate the movie. It was a movie I grew up with. I rewatched it a couple of days ago. I thought it was better when I was younger. Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. I want you to hear this. It's not bad, but it's very, I don't know. It now after watching it with so many other movies that are similar in genre to this, it's like, it didn't have the punch that it used to have, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so, still a great movie, still a fun movie. If you've never seen it, I would recommend it. But I would recommend, honestly, I'd recommend Pearl Harbor over this for action, adventure, and love.
There's not really love in this one.
There's no love story, but I feel like it leaves you, I think it leaves you, it leaves you wanting more of something, but not that story.
Sure.
You know, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Do you think part of the reason why it doesn't have the punch today that it did back then is just because the caliber of the production of movies has gone up so high recently?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you watch it because it's a classic. That's how I feel. You watch it because it's a classic. You don't watch John Wayne because of the phenomenal acting. You watch John Wayne because he's John freaking Wayne, like the Duke. And so you grab your glass of a little whiskey. I don't do this anymore. But you grab your little glass of whiskey and you sip some whiskey while you watch some John Wayne. You watch that McClintock, watch him spank that woman because it's a classic.
And then remark how far things have come from then.
Oh, so glad you live in South Dakota.
No comment. So the only other thing I'd like to add about the Memphis Belle is you should definitely watch the movie. Again, I think we just said 1990.
1990s, yeah.
But you should definitely also watch the 1943, I think it was 43 or 44 production. I want to say it was John Ford who filmed it, but I could be wrong about that. It's one of those famous Hollywood movie makers who went over and flew on the mission. Several camera people died on that mission because the planes they were in were shot down. It was a very real thing, and if you start looking at the losses that our nation suffered in World War II, the majority of them is what I recall. The majority of them were 8th Air Force bomber crews. There was a very high loss of life, and that's because there were 10 crew members per B-17 bomber and about 10 crew members per B-24 bomber, and they were shot down.
A point there, Phil. About 200,000 aircrew members lost their lives.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
and
a lot of them.
Just so we know, the writer of this is Monte Merrick. The director is Michael Catton-Jones.
Yep.
So
sounds about right. One of the very unique things about this movie, and one of the reasons why I will always love Memphis Belle, is because it was produced in 1990, there was this little thing called CGI that really wasn't around then, wasn't being used anyway, like it is now. And so every one of the B-17s that you see taking off is a real B-17. They formed a very large armada of the then flying B-17s for this movie. And some of those planes no longer exist because they've crashed and been written off. Some of them no longer fly because they've been relegated to static museum pieces. But a lot of them do still fly, and that's a great thing. They made so many B-17s, and they were used for so many different things after the war that we're lucky enough to have a lot of them still flying as memorials for those 200,000 aircrew who passed away preserving our rights and fighting tyranny. It's a really great movie to check out. It really kind of portrays the struggle that these individuals went through as they try to get to their missions. As World War II progressed and as the air battle became easier over time because of our air dominance, the crews had to go through more missions. They had to hold on to more missions, 35, 45, and I think at the end they ended somewhere around 50. So double the number of missions before they could get to go home. But the Memphis Belle was highly regarded as the first crew to hit their 25 mission mark. There is some speculation that maybe there was a crew that hit it before them, but the Memphis Belle was the one that was honored for it. The Memphis Belle is the one who went back and did the war bond drive.
Wasn't it? I mean, that time, that day and time, it was still, pretty racist back then.
Yeah.
And the idea is that possibly a crew of, a different color, a different race, were the ones to actually complete their first 25, correct?
No?
Oh, that's what I've heard.
To my knowledge, there was never an African-American 8th Air Force bomber crew.
Oh, okay.
The only squadron that I'm aware of that flew that was African-American was the Red Tails. By the way, the Red Tails movie that HBO did or whoever did, horrible movie. Just Disney? A very bad, I don't know who did it. It was not good.
It's on Disney Plus.
It's on Disney Plus, but I don't think
Red Tails?
I don't think it was a Disney production. Not a very good representation. More about Flash and Sizzle. Somebody needs to do a great movie about the Red Tails because it was a phenomenal group of flyers.
They were.
But no, I believe the other crew was a different 8th Air Force crew. And to my knowledge, the 8th Air Force never had an African-American bomber crew, which is terribly unfortunate.
Yeah.
Anyway, great movie. The pilot of the Memphis Belle was a man named Robert Morgan. Robert Morgan did name the plane after his girlfriend, who he'd met in Memphis when he was on training. And after this tour of duty, he actually went home and instructor piloted for a while and then went back to the Pacific Theater and actually led the first B-29 mission against Japan. And so he is a very influential pilot with a lot of things under his credit. Wasn't part of the nuclear group, the 509th, but he did lead the first B-29 strike on mainland Japan when they brought the B-29s on towards the end of the war.
That's cool.
So probably enough trivia for most people
I'm just sitting here going, I think this is what happened. I honestly, between you and me, internet, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's why Phil was a history major and I went to community school. I went to high school college. I went to Mitchell Technical Institute.
You have far less debt in college than I do. So we're going to stick with that.
P.S. I'm debt-free.
I was a history major too.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're very smart with history. That's why I team up with them. They are my crutches when it comes to history. Not that I don't enjoy history. I do enjoy history. Right. It's just not like they do.
Anyway, to the crew of the Memphis Belle and to all of our service members around the world, cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who flies those airplanes, everyone who hits the ground, and everyone who carries a gun for the armed forces. We appreciate
Absolutely.
or those who don't carry a gun. If you're serving our country, thank you.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and move on from that in an effort to maybe not have a 53-minute episode this week.
Was that too boring for you guys? Let us know in the comments.
No, it wasn't boring to me at all. It wasn't boring. I loved every minute of it.
I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah. I don't know how many views we got, but...
I was talking to Chancey. Chancey, you said what?
I said I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We're nerds. So let's talk a little bit about another love of mine and another love of my friend Chancey's, and that is music.
Oh, yes.
People can't see it, but this is... Well, you can see that this is a piano behind me. It's an electronic keyboard. This is our music room as well as my model room. We've got my guitars out, and we've got the piano and some other things. So let's talk about music, and we're going to start out with Chancey. We're going to do this in somewhat chronological order. So, Chancey, why don't you go ahead and get us rolling talking about some traditional forms of music?
Well, I'm really big into some bluegrass music, folk transitional bluegrass. Don't know if anybody's ever heard of the Celtic Woman. Absolutely love them.
Now this is that's the group of women who do the Celtic songs.
They do Gaelic, more modern flash with their music. Okay. A lot of fiddle. The voices, it's just very, very beautiful and put together very, very well. Which you go folk traditional and you kind of roll into some of your modern American music, bluegrass. Mm-hmm. I kind of like a little bit more modern bluegrass with Alison Krauss, Union Station, Sierra Hull. Heavy on the fiddle, heavy on mandolin, banjo, steel guitar, or the dobro, with Jerry Douglas. And what's that for, Phil?
Not a fan of the steel guitar.
You don't like the dobro, man?
Oh, you can just leave. There's the door. It's right over there.
Don't be saying nothing against my Jerry Douglas.
It's over there. I mean, there. I don't know where it is.
I don't know anything about Jerry Douglas. Jerry Douglas is not a performer that I've ever heard. I do. This may alienate some of our viewers, and I'm sorry. Not a fan of modern country, and most of my exposure to the steel guitar has been through modern country, unfortunately.
Oh, you need to listen to some good bluegrass then.
Oh, yeah, I love bluegrass, so I'm sure I'd be fine.
That's where you're going to find the good steel guitar. Dobro is what it's called in bluegrass.
Now, isn't a dobro a guitar body with a metal insert?
So it's steel guitar, but once turned on its side, it's played kind of on its side.
Yeah, okay.
With slides.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned leave, Phil. You're not a music fan.
Oh, I am.
I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. Is they're very, very similar. So
I know they produce a similar sound. I just don't know how. Because the steel guitar, I always think of as the lap steel. I think they call it, which is it's kind of on its own stand and can plug into an amp and things like that. So I don't know if one's an evolution from the other or how that works, but whatever.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter one bit, because bluegrass is good music. It really is.
It is.
I actually have a mandolin kit that not a mandolin kit. I'm sorry, a dulcimer kit that I'm supposed to be working on. A friend of mine gave me, and I haven't had a chance to really dig into it, but I really look forward to trying to dig into that and figuring that out. I really enjoy the hammered dulcimer, which is something completely different and more of a. It's not used a whole lot in bluegrass, is it?
Nope.
But it is used in more traditional folk Appalachian music.
It is. My sister made a dulcimer in high school when we lived in Kentucky.
Nice. Is it a standard dulcimer or the hammered?
It is. It's a wooden standard dulcimer.
Yeah. One of my favorite artists, a Christian artist by the name of Rich Mullins, played the hammered dulcimer, and Ben's shaking his head because we weren't supposed to talk about Christian music, but here I am. The hammered dulcimer is a beautiful instrument when it's played correctly. It's just gorgeous.
To correct you, Phil, I didn't say let's not talk about Christian music. I just said let's not pick a Christian genre.
Okay.
Because that was what we literally had to force feed ourselves with growing up. I was told I had to force feed myself that even through high school, like, no, this music in our house, no, this music in our house. Phil was allowed Leanne Rimes because he had a crush on her.
Yeah, she was cute.
but was once upon a time not long ago.
Also,
anyway.
I used to listen to country music.
Yeah. So it's just
we were raised on Southern gospel.
Yeah. Well, Christian music. Back when we were younger, Christian music isn't what it is today.
That's very true.
It's not.
Christian music has come a long way. I don't think they're where the secular world is talent-wise. I think they have a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong, but I think we are still lacking a little something. So,
well, I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of older Christian music that's far superior to what we're hearing today. If I turn on a Christian radio station today, it all sounds the same to me.
Oh yeah,
there's
agree.
nobody pushing the bounds musically. There's nobody stretching things musically that's getting airtime.
Yeah,
there are those artists out there, but they're just not getting airtime.
Well, I think
let's not beat this dead horse and let's stay on top of it a little
last
bit.
thing to that, because I kind of want to fight for Christian music, because
absolutely
I love it. Elevation Worship is putting a new twist on worship music.
They are.
And I don't care what anyone says about that church, about the pastor. I think they are doing things the right way, a new way. And I believe that if you don't like them, you need to redo your theology, because they do hit a lot of things on the head. They might say things different, but you check out because you didn't like what they said.
We're not going to argue about this.
But. So anyway, Phil, I watch them week in, week out. So, but their music is on point.
Their music is on point. You're absolutely right. I love some of their worship stuff. There's, in my opinion, one of the best subgenres of Christian music today is worship music. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on in that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the stuff you hear when you turn on a contemporary Christian radio station where it's 10th Avenue North. 10th Avenue North, Casting Crowns, 10th Avenue North, and that's I can't do it.
If you have a chance, check out Rattle by Elevation Worship. It's a game changer.
I haven't listened to that one yet. I need to listen to that.
It's new. Go check.
I have not heard it.
I've heard so many good things about it. I need to do that. So apologies if you can hear the coffee grinder going in the background. We are coffee addicts in my house.
No
we
apologies.
have to prep for tomorrow morning. I'm not apologizing to you, Ben. I'm apologizing to our viewers.
Don't apologize.
You're right.
We had more than two last week.
I watched it.
You know what? If you haven't subscribed yet, you hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button.
While you're hitting that subscribe button, that like button, that heart button, because you love us, hit the notification bell.
There's a little bell.
If you're on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to us, shame on you. And if you haven't hit the notification button, but you've hit the subscribe button, shame on you. You need to get that notification saying, hey, they've uploaded. Let's go check out their video.
Ben's
sharing it.
Shame on Moo.
Ben's feeling his oats a little bit. We love you all, whether you subscribe or like or not, Chancey.
You know what? If you don't subscribe and like, cut off.
Oh, no, Ben. We got to work on you. I thought you were the pastor.
I am. You know what? You know what I've realized? You don't get first by being nice, okay?
That's true. That's true. So, dragging us way back off that rabbit trail, Chancey mentioned that he likes Alison Krauss. I like Alison Krauss. I think she's a very great musician.
I thought it was a he.
I'm going to smack you. And I listened to Alison Krauss on occasion. But Alison Krauss, I don't know, about a decade ago, maybe a little longer than that, did a collaboration with somebody by the name of Robert Plant.
Yeah, she did.
Robert Plant, some of our viewers don't know, was the lead singer for a little band from England known as Led Zeppelin. That's right. So I'm going to talk about getting the lead out. I'm going to talk about classic rock. Like Ben said, we were raised in a home where we listened to a lot of Christian music, and I love Christian music. The Newsboys, the DC Talk, Petra was really where my heart was at. I listened to a little bit of Stryper. And so when I got out of the house and started listening to some
real music,
more secular music, I was naturally drawn to classic rock because Petra really was a classic rock sound.
Petra means rock.
Petra means rock. Thank you for interrupting me. It really was a classic rock sound that was spreading the gospel in it. And so I really enjoy that. But I started listening to more of the secular stuff, started listening to people like Eric Clapton, started listening to Led Zeppelin because I'd watched Wayne's World, one of my favorite movies. And
Wayne's World, party
As
time,
he's-
excellent. Yeah.
That's right. There's this particular scene where he goes into a music store and Garth goes and plays the drums and Wayne grabs the Stratocaster. He starts playing this lick and the salesperson stops him and points at a sign and the sign says, "No Stairway to Heaven." And Wayne says, "No stairway denied."
That's
And
right.
I had to figure out what Stairway to Heaven was all about. And so I pumped a lot of Led Zeppelin in my dorm room. And I realized a couple of things. Number one, I realized the movie producers didn't have him play Stairway to Heaven. And I was blown away. I was shocked. I'm like, why wouldn't they have him play Stairway to Heaven? I found out later it's because Led Zeppelin is a notorious blocker and they won't let anybody license their music. But the other thing I found out was that Led Zeppelin, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, and John Paul Jones, they're geniuses. They're musical geniuses. The music that they came up with was so different than what anybody else had heard. They took the blues and they took jazz and they just ran with it. They ignored any bounds. They ignored any semblance of, well, this is how we do things. And they made up a whole new genre of music that became heavy metal. I'm not a big heavy metal fan, but Led Zeppelin started that genre, really. And some of their songs have become classics for so many reasons. If you put in a Led Zeppelin album, no two songs on that album sound alike. If you put two albums back to back, those two albums don't sound alike. They were constantly reinventing themselves, constantly adding in new sounds and trying to decide what they can do to challenge the music and to challenge themselves. And that's one of the great things I like about classic rock. In general, classic rock is a melding of the blues and jazz and gospel and a few other things. It's easy to say that somebody like Elvis started it, but really it was a whole bunch of people. The world just lost. Oh goodness, what is the guy's name?
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly?
No. Just the other day, Little Richard.
Oh, Little Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Little Richard passed away just the other day, and he was instrumental in starting rock and roll because of the voice and the way he used his voice. Elvis was instrumental because of the rhythms and how he did that sort of thing. Chuck Berry with his tunes, just so many great people who kind of led up to things. But it kind of stayed Elvis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard here in the United States. But in England, they did something completely different, right? They heard the blues and they heard those things and they took them to the nth degree. And that's where we get a lot of classic rock from. Clapton, I mentioned before, and the bands that he worked with. The Stones. I can't stand the Rolling Stones, but their impact on classic rock and on music in general is undeniable. The Who, some of those bands, just the tunes that we don't think a lot of today.
What about the
because we hear
Ramones?
them so much. The Ramones, the Ramones were punk. That was something I never got into.
Classic punk.
Never, but it's not classic rock. It's not the same.
Right now is
classic
not the
punk
time to be
rock.
bringing up the WHO.
Oh, wow.
So Corona 2019.
Oh my. Off the rails. So anyway, classic rock is that wonderful melding, and we don't think a lot about it now because we know the songs because we hear them all the time. But if you were somebody that the craziest thing you ever heard was Buddy Holly or Richie Valens, and you'd hear something like the Rolling Stones or Eric Clapton and Cream, just blew people's minds. The Beatles were a little bit of that, but not quite there. So that's why I like classic rock. I'll always like classic rock, and that's what I've got on that. Ben, you're gonna take us off the rails.
Yeah. So obviously we go folk to classic rock to country. No. Hip hop.
No.
Hip hop. Sorry. I shouldn't do that. I am not there. Hip hop. Run DMC, Aerosmith. It's not the original collab between classic rock and what we consider classic rock now. Aerosmith is classic.
Yep.
They're a 1970s band that has made it. People still listen to their music now. So they did this little song with Run DMC. What is it called? I'm forgetting.
This way.
I was gonna say that. Walk this way. Talk this way.
And it was a song that they had on their own first.
Yeah, and they collabed with Run DMC, and it just got bigger because they did that collab, and it just brought the two genres together and said, "Hey, we can do this." In fact, Phil was talking about a band that later on, a guy by the name of Puffy or P Diddy or Puff Daddy, and which one do we choose? But he took a song of Led Zeppelin's and he made it into a hip hop song with the movie Godzilla back in the late 90s. And that song was Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. And so this idea of hip hop collabing and doing things is amazing. But I want to talk about like early 90s hip hop, like MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys are one of my favorite.
Vanilla Ice was a hip hop collaborator with classic rock.
Yeah, he was. He stole it.
No, he was a thief. He was a thief.
He collabed by stealing
the bass line from Queen's Under Pressure.
Yeah. So Queen's another classic rock band that they broke trends in classic rock. Which was a phenomenal thing. But you have bands like Run DMC. You have guys like Ice Cube, Ice-T, surprisingly, Ice Cube, Ice-T. You got who are some of the other early 90s? Tupac, Biggie Smalls. You had the battles in the 90s, and they ended in death, which was terrible. I don't think it should have gone there with music, but it did. Then
it wasn't the music driving that though. It was, that was gangster rap, and it was the gangster part of things driving that, not the music.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have ever gone there. They should have somehow the publishers should have gotten in and said, "Hey, you got to sever these ties." But that's neither.
Pac actually tried to get out of that. Pac was good about that. I mean, he started out kind of hardcore,
he did,
and then he tried to pull kids out of it, and that's probably honestly what got him killed. But I won't get into that too far.
We're not going to get into any of that, but
I think we're too white to get into that.
It transitioned. What I love about 90s is that it was the base of this new transition that was coming into the late 90s and early 2000s with people like Nelly, Eminem, Dr. Dre put out some new stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s. You had Busta Rhymes. Oh man, he was phenomenal. Now you have people even in the Christian industry like NF that are throwing out these rhymes and these flows that you've never heard before.
Don't forget about NAC.
NAC. I probably know them. I just
know NAC.
Do I?
Yeah, little band.
Oh,
NAC.
Yeah. Anyway, NAC.
Wow.
So
okay, Uncle Ben.
Put it this way, Nathan. Wow. My nephew Nathan. David's cousin, Phil's son, Nathan, just put out his first EP ever, and it's hip hop, and it's pretty good for his first ever EP. I think
he's 14.
No one's asked my opinion. My opinion is this: keep on working. Hip hop is one of my favorite genres, especially early 90s hip hop, 90s hip hop in general, and then early 2000s with Eminem. Nelly's crew, the St. Louis something, I forget now, but I used to listen to all that. Then you had groups like TLC, you had some other groups as well, like they just threw out this solid let's be honest, if your flow wasn't good, you weren't good,
right.
And so with their flow and how they used the riffs and the rhythm and the flow and what they did, and every single one of them were different. You couldn't find two alike. And
it's all kind of dripped down into pop music, so that you can't find pop music now that isn't influenced by some of those. Right.
So with that, I chose hip hop 90s to early 2000s. I think what they're producing now is total garbage other than NF and Eminem, honestly. Right. So yeah, with hip hop, I just from early 2000 or early 90s to 2000s, you still have people like Eminem, you still have people like NF, but they sound similar, and everything's going to start sounding more similar instead of cutting edge. And I feel like the cutting edge stuff is kind of garbage and a mess. So
A little bit, yeah.
that's what I gotta say.
All right, fantastic. It's a good take on all three of those. Of those, hip hop sucks the most. Clearly,
True.
I don't actually agree with that, but believe what you want to believe.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Ben's opinion.
Ask what we thought about your opinion.
My other idea was I could talk about country music.
Also sucks.
Well,
Just saying. Two of us have gone to college for music, partially. And,
congratulations.
Yeah.
You know what I have to say about education?
We know what you have to say
it
about
clouds
education.
the mind.
That's not true.
From what Jesus really wants to do with your life.
That is potentially true. Yes, you're right. That is potentially true. Unless God called you to college and called you to an education, which I believe he firmly did. Anyway, with Ben's wrong opinion noted, and Chancey and my right opinions noted, we're going to move on to the next part of our conversation. And I didn't even have to self-mute him for that. It happened. We're going to talk about our drinks. And again, this is the portion of the show that our mother hates. Sorry, Mom.
My mom doesn't care.
Okay,
mom doesn't care, Chancey.
Hold on. One, I don't think Mom absolutely hates this.
I think you're right.
She wishes we didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't think she understands it, and I think she realizes that she doesn't understand why.
And that's okay.
Do it. And that's fine.
That's okay. That's
and we don't hold any judgments on that.
Nope.
So
that's why we do NA drinks from time to time.
Yeah.
This week it was. This week,
and go ahead.
Go for it, Phil.
This week it was a wild card, so we kind of all got to pick our drinks. And I'm going to let our guests go first. Chancey?
Well, one of my what I enjoy is my red
Wait,
cup.
Stop,
Red
Chancey.
Solo cup.
Chancey, the last time
you up. It's time to party.
I saw Chancey with a red Solo cup was in college.
I actually talked to him tonight, Phil. And we joked about it.
And it wasn't pretty, ladies and gentlemen.
You actually talked about pretty.
Who? Jeff. I ran into Jeff. We were out tonight for a little while.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last time I saw him with a Solo cup was in college, and it wasn't pretty.
It was not pretty.
That's all I'm going to say. Chancey, go ahead.
Something we promote.
No,
not at all.
Not at all. But we were young and stupid in college.
Hey, speak for yourself. I was young.
We were young and smart in college, but not real bright.
Not real bright sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, what I'm drinking tonight is Pink Kinky and Sprite.
I don't think you can say that word
on
this vlog.
You can say that word on the internet.
Yes, I can.
No,
my cat's name is Kinky, for crying out loud.
I'm going to have to say this is not for kids and put an age restriction on this because of you, Chancey.
That is the name of the alcohol.
Thank you for saying that word.
No,
that's
Ben,
the name of the alcohol.
That's because of his beard. We're going to have to put the age restriction on here.
I thought it was because of my mustache.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm trying something.
What? Okay, Chancey, you've piqued my interest. What is Pink Kinky?
Pink Kinky is, you're going to blank me for a second, but it's blood orange.
Okay.
Mango and passion fruit.
Okay.
Liqueur.
Liqueur. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
what is the difference between liquor and liqueur for those of the viewers that don't understand?
It's a good question.
You don't know? A liqueur is I believe it derives from Italy or Spain. I believe it's Italy. And it is actually a lower alcohol content than hard liquor.
Yep.
It is.
And it's more of a sugary drink than a alcoholic drink.
That makes sense.
However, you can bomb some of them.
Yeah. It's more of an aperitif. Something more along the lines of a schnapps. Something like that.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
More like a Tawaka. Tawaka is a liqueur.
I have no clue what a Tawaka is.
Oh, when I used to party, Tawaka bombs.
Oh dear.
When I say party, I didn't actually party.
No, you didn't.
But I did enjoy a Tawaka bomb every now and then.
And Chancey, I missed. What are you mixing that whatever
Sprite.
it is with? Sprite. Okay.
Mm-hmm. 7-Up, Sprite, lemon lime.
Just kind of a basic, kind of plain Jane
tonic.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Ben, what do you got?
I am drinking a Illinois beer. I am celebrating 11 days of being a single father for 11 days, and Lola just got home tonight. So
Yay!
I'm having a Anti-Hero from Illinois. It is only fitting that the character.
I see your governor's on the can.
Yes, yes. A little thinner though. So
yeah, true. His younger years.
a little bit more green. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trying to get that light.
There you go.
Yep. A little bit more less green and eye patch. You know, he grew back that. So no, but it's a IPA from Revolution Brewing Company. If you ever want to sponsor us, Revolution Brewing Company, we'd be open to that.
Where's Revolution's?
They're out of the Chicago area, I believe. Let me see.
Made in China.
Yeah, Chicago, Illinois. Made in the and they actually have some really good beers. What I've heard is their barrel aged brewery or their brew. It's been a long 11 days. Their barrel aged brew is one of the top barrel aged brews in the nation, is what I've heard. So Revolution, if you want to send me some of that, because I don't want to pay your ridiculous price for 4 of them.
Right.
It's like $30.
Yeah.
Send me a couple.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. A barrel aged brew is a very good brew.
It is, but I don't think it's worth you buy 4 for $30.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the next coming weeks, I'm going to have some brews that I cannot get in my area. Yeah. That I'm so excited about because I ordered them online. So
can you do that in Illinois? You can order beer online?
There's an app called Tavor, and so you can only here's
we
a plug.
can't do that. No, in South Dakota, it's illegal for us to do that in South Dakota.
Can't even order in wine or anything. Yeah.
No, not yet.
Poor you. Well, it just came available in the last. Well, since my denomination said that pastors are allowed to drink, it became available. But like, there's a beer from Tampa, Florida. It's a bilberry frangipane. So I think I
had that when I was in Tampa a few years ago. I remember liking it.
So the shipment left today, and this beer just came out from one of my favorite breweries in Colorado.
Oh, so I didn't then.
No, not that one.
Okay.
This is a new one. Weldworks Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. If you want to sponsor us and send me beer, I would be totally fine with that because you're my favorite beer.
Oh, yeah, they can't send it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can bring it to you. So send it to me in the next 4 days, and I can take some to my brother.
Woo,
but
hopefully.
They have a Weldworks Fossilization Brewing Company special. I can't pronounce that. Artesian ales. Anything by these guys, they're just amazing. Yeah. But that's the app I order off of. I have like a blueberry beer from 903 Brewing Company. 903, sponsor us. We'd love to connect with you. You don't even have to send us money; just send us beer. So
no, the money would be good too, though. Let's face it.
Well, if you send me beer, I don't have to buy beer, so therefore I save money.
We're still not monetized, though.
Anyway.
I
chose this beer because this is what's in my fridge, and this is the best beer I can get at a gas station because I had David for 11 days, and I ran out of beer like a week ago, and I was like, well, maybe I could get a 6-pack, and so I went in. They had a micro brew beer at the gas station, so I said, okay, let me pick this up, and more gas stations are actually carrying some of the micro brews. Which is really nice, and I thank you for that because when I go to Podunk, South Dakota, I cannot do that.
Hey!
So, unless I go to Sioux Falls or Aberdeen or Rapid City, I'm pretty sure Pierre hardly carries any microbrews.
We carry microbrews.
Okay, well, when I'm up there next week, hopefully.
We're going to have...
P.S. We might be together, me and him.
Might. That'd be great.
That guy over there. So
we might actually be able to do podcasts together.
Yeah, one time.
Together. All right. Very cool.
Anyway, that's my beer, and the reason I'm having a beer tonight is celebration.
That's right. That's right. Not because we had the podcast at all.
No.
Vlog. Whatever it is we're calling this thing.
2 birds, 1 beer.
So you may notice that I've got this very sophisticated martini glass.
And it looks more like martinis at Matt's.
It's not a martini, though, obviously. So for the past few days, I've been experimenting a little bit. We got some Tito's vodka, Tito's from Austin, Texas. Fantastic.
I've heard great stuff about them.
It's a great vodka.
How'd you get it?
They sell it all over the place up here. All over the place.
Makes sense.
Real easy to get. So we picked up some of that the other day, and we had some pineapple juice and some orange juice and some cream. And I'm thinking to myself, that doesn't sound half bad together. And so I started playing with the ratios and mixing it up. And what I've got is a really good drink here. And To my knowledge, nobody else has made anything like it. And I haven't come up with a name yet, but what it is it's 2 shots of pineapple juice. It's 2 shots of pineapple juice, 2 shots of orange juice, 2 shots of heavy whipping cream, 4 shots of vodka, shaken with ice, and 2 heaping tablespoons of brown sugar.
But not stirred.
Not stirred, shaken. And then that's enough for 2 of these glasses, so my wife and I each get to have one.
I think you need to call it the Floozy Philly.
The Floozy Philly. That's not a bad name, actually.
I know.
I like that.
It's the Floozy Phil.
But
Phil.
Chancey was saying something, which leads me to believe that maybe this drink has been created and has a name, and he's aware of it and not telling us.
No, I only created one drink in my time, and we're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to talk about that one, Chancey. No.
No, never.
Was it a night out on chance?
It was.
It was a night out.
It was a night out. Yep.
A night out.
There are many, many stories that Chancey and I share that will never go on the internet.
That is correct.
A chance on a night out. That's what your drink's called?
No, we came up with a name for it, as I recall.
You're not allowed to share it, huh?
We're not
We
going
are
to share
not.
it. No. You
Never.
see, ladies and gentlemen, Chancey and I went to college in a time before smartphones and cameras everywhere. And we like it that way.
Hold on. I went to college before smartphones and cameras.
No, you didn't go to college. You went to a technical
Sorry,
institute.
I went to what I call high school college,
Yes.
which is equivalent to high school, just they consider it
smart.
higher level, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so I went to high school college before smartphones and cameras everywhere and all that.
Yep. So anyway, what did we say? Philly Floozy?
The
Philly-
Philly
the
Floozy.
Or something like that. Yeah.
Floozy Philly.
Phil the Floozy. What?
Floozy Philly.
Anyway, it's super good. And again, I can only have one of them because I'm lactose intolerant. So double bonus, it limits how much I drink. It won't because there's not enough in here to do the job.
Anyway, you'll have to share that with Lola. Is it fruity? Is it?
So you get it's sweet and fruity. You get a lot of the pineapple and orange, and because of the brown sugar, it adds a richness to it because brown sugar's got that molasses in it.
Yeah.
And the creaminess from the cream, it's all around just really, really good. And it is a little boozy because it's got, there's 2 shots of vodka in this. So
you might have to share that with Lola if we're up there next week.
Yeah.
And then we might just get a hotel. So,
well, there you go.
Anyway, hey, thank you so much for joining us this week. Like I said earlier, if you haven't followed us, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. If you don't have a YouTube channel, sign up, get that YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, and then hit that bell at the very top corner.
Ring the bell.
Because if you hit that bell, then you will get a notification when we show up on your screen with walking into a bar. It seems like a bad joke. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you didn't, forget you. I don't care.
No.
We had fun.
If you did, tell us what's... We're looking
what?
to improve. Give us critique. Tell us what we can do better.
I keep on forgetting.
Like, don't
nice
invite
guys
that
finish
Chancey guy
last.
again.
No, that's probably the one thing they did enjoy.
No, so if you want to see new content, maybe you have something that you want to see. We've had recommendations. We're gonna have my best friend from school on here in a few weeks.
Gonna be good. Even though he's wrong about Matrix, just like you.
No, he is a genius when it comes to Matrix.
Dead wrong about the Matrix.
It's a terrible show. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Don't get sucked into the Matrix.
Get sucked in. It's so worth it.
So anyway, we've enjoyed this time together. I hope you've enjoyed it with us. We enjoy doing this. So tell us what you want to see next. We'd love to input some of your stuff. It's hard coming up with ideas.
Yep.
I'm an idea man, and I know that. But it's hard coming up with ideas of what to do next. And we don't want to bore you. So join us. Let us know what you want. If you are willing to be on our podcast, let us know that too, because we'd love to have you. Different viewpoints are great. And, Chancey, we love having you here, bud, man. Thanks for filling in for Matt while Matt's under the weather.
Yep.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
You're
not
welcome.
a problem. Next week, we hope to have Matt back because Phil and I will most likely be together. As of tomorrow, we'll find out. But we want to get my truck fully functional before I take off for South Dakota and
That's right.
not run into an issue because Phil has my topper. So
I've got his topper.
Yep. So
that brings up another movie.
I can't. No, we're not going there.
Topper.
I love Hot Shots, part 1 or part 2.
Yeah.
So
They were
anyway,
both bad.
they were both hilarious. So anyway, we love you guys. This has been a really long outro. So hit that subscribe button, the notification button at the top right corner, and I will see you next week. Thanks for joining us on Walk Into a Bar.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.